Thought versus guidance.
Does that require a hair toss?
Yes. Try it.
No, it's still wet.
Melt it.
No.
Just a little.
No. No. No.
Welcome in once again to our serious spirituality
Not so.
podcast.
Not so.
My name is Halina Schriefer.
My name is Paul Narus.
You sure?
I'm putting it all together as one word. Paul Narus.
Pernurs.
Pernurs.
And we are here on the set of Ordinary Pioneer to share with you some very serious teachings on spirituality.
Or not so.
If you haven't catched our previous episodes, watch this one first and then go back and watch the previous ones. Make sure you hit that like button and please share with anybody you think would resonate with any of this content.
And subscribe.
Be sure to subscribe and hit the little bell for the notifications.
There you go. You're finally,
I got it.
You're getting close.
Episode-
You're getting close.
13?
13.
13.
Lucky number 13.
And we'd love to make this an interactive experience. So if you have any questions on this topic, any of our previous topics, or anything new you want us to discuss, then put all of that into the comments and we'll incorporate it somehow. But today...
With fanfare, probably.
Today...
No hair tosses.
We are talking about thought versus guidance.
Are we?
Yeah, my thoughts tell me so as I was guided to
speak of these
things with our community. This is, so who knows where this conversation is going to go. We never know. But in...
Probably grilled cheese sandwiches.
Oh gosh, gluten-free, vegan.
No.
No?
White bread, American cheese.
With high fructose corn syrup in it.
Morton's.
Oh gosh.
Or is that
Winschuller's bar cheese.
Oh, that doesn't make a good grilled cheese, but that sounds awesome.
Yeah. Anyways, back to the topic. So I finished up a series of classes on intuition, and this was the question that was asked in all of the classes that we had, which is, how do you know the difference between your intuition and your thoughts? I want to kind of take that and broaden it. If you're the type of person who has people come to you for advice or guidance, that could be something that we can explore too. Is this just a thought that I have because I'm sharing with this person the experience that I've had, or am I being guided in a specific way for this person's specific experience? And how do we recognize the differences? And what did you say to me earlier today when I brought this up? Like there's like a subtlety in the difference between just a thought versus a direct piece of guidance from the universal wisdom.
I believe I said, I just can tell.
Just can tell. All right, show's done. Mark it. That's a film term.
Yeah, I got it. I hear you say them all the time.
I do say market a lot, especially when I go to the store.
To the market?
Yeah.
The supermarket?
Yeah. So you could just tell. Like, how do you tell? Like,
I don't know. The energy comes from somewhere different. A lot of times, if I notice my eyes moving a lot, then it's usually guidance. Mm-hmm. If I'm just like, yeah, I remember when that happened to me.
Never heard you say that.
Yeah.
Of course, you have a unique life.
It just goes on inside my head. Then I usually know that I'm just like following patterns. I don't know, like oftentimes this was asked of me earlier today, is that well, what do you think? You've been in these situations before. What do you think? Well, it's not about what I think. I mean, understanding that I have my own way. We all have a unique experience, and that needs to be recognized by each individual. But my ability to discern between one or the other has an innate quality to it. I don't know. And that's my own experience.
Right. And that brings up something interesting in my noggin too, because it can be more comfortable knowing that somebody else has journeyed this road before us.
Right.
So somebody wanting to know your experience, it doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. It can be very encouraging. But at the end of the day, we're the ones that need to walk through the forest, maybe at the beginning of the day, I don't know. But we have to be the ones to make the choices, to integrate the lessons, to feel into the energy. We have to be the ones to do it as individuals. So, and that's why I wanted to bring up this topic, because I've noticed the level of direct support that comes from using guidance intuitively versus sharing experience, because it challenges us to go directly into the heart, directly into where we're afraid. And a lot of times the guidance that we get is something that is probably something we don't want to do, or something that is outside of our comfort zone, because the Spirit's going to continue to challenge us to dig deeper, dig deeper. Whereas the thoughts can kind of soothe the journey a little bit. Again, I don't think it's a bad thing, but also, are we relying on reading the books, and talking to other people about, well, what did you do when you left your job, or what did you do when you were having this health issue, and it can be supportive, but also like maybe there's something direct that can be more supportive.
Yeah. It just came out funny.
It did come out funny.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to know about. It's one thing, having planned experience is good thing, and knowing people who have experienced similar things is a good thing. But there's something outside of that as well, and I think that it has just as much, if not more, to teach us. The individuality of a situation, even if it's like identical situation, like say, John Smith punched me in the face. What did you do when he did that to you? That John Smith.
He's a jerk.
You can both talk about what you did afterwards. You probably both had two totally different reactions, but there's a grander guidance, and there's a simple way to approach it, which is, why don't you just stay away from John Smith?
Yeah.
There's also something more to it that can be guided to you.
Learning from other people's experience and maybe what not to do, or to steer us away from what we think we should do, but maybe might not turn out so well. Just get us to really reflect on our choices. I think with guidance too, I notice for myself, if I'm sharing information, I'll just neutralize it and say information with somebody. I know that it's guidance from a higher vibration when I'm listening intently to, when I'm learning along with the person who's receiving the message. If it's, I already know my story, I've lived it. So I may be sharing guidance from my own life, if somebody asks, what did you do? But I'm not learning really from it. I'm reciting. But the message from the divine is always like, people are like, oh wow, that was really great. And I'm like, yeah, it really was. Like,
right.
Yeah.
In your head, you're like, I never really
Right.
thought that
This
before.
is clearly not me, because
I'm gonna pretend like I've known
her.
this my whole
Yeah.
life.
Well, I usually joke and I say, oh good, because I just made that up.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the times we have those moments where we're talking and then something profound comes out and we don't understand where that came from, that's guidance.
Yeah.
How you deal with that's a totally different story.
What do you mean by that? How you deal with
Well,
like...
you say, good, because I just made that up.
Oh, yeah, I kind of joke about it.
Or me, I just act like, yeah, of course.
It's all from me. No, I don't say that. I give thanks.
Yeah, I generally don't say it's my words. Sometimes I'll make people up and say, I read that in a book by so-and-so.
It's a quote.
It's that John Smith, actually.
John Smith. He kind of...
He's a multifaceted
wily
fella.
kind of fella, yeah.
Jack of all trades, that guy.
I think channeling guidance, too, takes some practice. And being a facilitator or, here, or if you're in a job where you're maybe you're a counselor or a teacher or something, or in your everyday life, somebody is talking with you, welcome those experiences, because if I know it's my thoughts when I have this rapid engine going in my mind, and I've learned to stop, to take a pause and then continue forward, tapping into an even higher vibration, because I have to recognize in this moment that while my experience may be helpful, I know that the divine has something well beyond what I am able to regurgitate from my own life. And I welcome these opportunities to talk with people and to simply listen. And even sometimes I think, I'll speak for myself, I could be quick to want to guide somebody because I want to be helpful. However, listening to somebody is a way to receive guidance from them, and seeing the words come together in a very beautiful way that teaches us about ourselves. Or as we're listening to somebody, there's this like subtle voice that can come underneath that can help explain what it is that is happening to them. Then we can begin to translate that.
Yeah. Also, them just talking while you're listening, they may receive guidance and insight at the time as well.
Right. So with the sessions that you share with people, what do you do when you notice your mind is going and you haven't been able to tap into that higher wisdom? How do you tap into that? How do you shift your mind from, okay, like, this is just me speaking from experience, versus I'm recognizing that there's higher information available? What do you do to connect?
Well, it depends. A lot of times there's not a lot of talking that's involved at that point. We're just feeling things at that point. So the silence is good. Or just simply like, well, what do you perceive, can allow them to start talking, and then your body to receive their message, which is guidance in and of itself, which is what you were saying. I don't know, that's generally my course of action, is to just look at them for their own answers. Like if they're asking me a question, I could give them my answer, but is that productive? Not necessarily. It's going to be more of what they feel and think than what I feel and think. And if they're locked into what I feel and think, then you have to address that as well and say, well, one, it doesn't really matter. Yeah. And two, well, you have to be comfortable with your own thoughts and your own receptiveness as well. Some people are very uncomfortable with the idea of receiving guidance from above, or they think it's a specialized skill that people have. But everybody innately has that ability.
And I've seen where we can rely on somebody else to tap into divine wisdom for us, because we may not have been as practiced, or we may just want, or we may not want to hear. And it's easier to tell somebody, well, I don't think that was guidance, or it's easier to shove somebody else off versus like, if we hear it directly, we can listen. We maybe have more of a tendency to listen.
Plus, and this might be a little bit too on the negative side of things, but I don't know, I'm trying to talk and drink at the same time.
I was going to see if you could do that. That would have been real talent.
A lot of times I'll notice people that have a victim mentality doing that, where they'll ask you for your opinion and your advice so that they have someone to blame when they make the wrong choice, or if they make the wrong choice.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Ordinary Pioneer Spiritual Healing Community, where we offer gifts of healing, allowing for low and no income individuals to receive healing services at low to no cost. To support our mission, visit ordinarypioneer.com and make a donation. Your donation supports members of the community in receiving the support they need to experience peace.
I think that's the power of meditation, because that's how I've learned to listen, is through meditation. I've sometimes sat there for an extended period of time until I've received the message that I needed to receive. And that took a lot of practice, because if we're so used to listening to the thoughts of the mind becomes used to that. So we need to begin to quiet the mind and look beyond the thoughts for that higher guidance. And I would say, I don't want to say it's the only way to do it, but I would say it's the only way to do it consistently and effectively, because I've noticed within students and within myself, if mine's really busy, it's like trying to hear somebody tell you how to make a cake from the other side of the room when there's all of these people talking in the room. So we may miss a couple words and some important information, like,
Oh, you said 375?
Yeah, you said 400 for 3 hours. Okay.
It's gonna be a good cake.
Yeah. So if the mind is busy, if we're channeling guidance for somebody else, we may get some of that message, but then maybe the mind starts to take over, because then we're thinking about the wisdom that's come through, and then we interlace our own thoughts. And again, like, none of this is bad, but I think being clear and intentional and in control of the funnel of information is extremely important. And another thing that I notice within myself and others, when we are guiding somebody, we can have a tendency to be urgent with the message. And this is something like I don't take any guidance or advice from anybody who comes at me with a more urgent. Oh, you need to do this, especially if that's a thing. Like, you need to do this.
You gotta try this.
You gotta do I'm polite and thank you. I don't ever take that advice, because I don't know where that information is coming from. So being intentional with our word is incredibly important. And then bringing it back into meditation, the more we can practice our meditation, the more we can tune into the feel of our body. So when each thought that comes through, where are we feeling it in our body? And we get to tune into that. And if we hear a voice from above, or have this knowing or this movement of energy, we're aware of the source of this energy and why it's there. So when we're gathering information for ourselves and others, we're more clear as to what we need to do with that information.
Well, yeah, and like I teach often, and this, but one of the things that I teach fairly often is to, if you're wondering whether it's coming in from an internal source or an external source, is to close your eyes and dip into the energy of your heart. And if you feel the message coming from below, or you can move your heart energy down below, if it feels like it matches that energy, then what you're being fed is from your instinctual self or your remembered self. And then if you move that energy upwards and see if it matches more towards the top of your head, you can physically feel the difference between guided message coming down or internal message coming up.
Yeah.
So you think about your chakra system, and your base chakras are going to push the learned behavior upwards, and your upper chakras are going to push the guided wisdom downwards.
And that reinforces the necessity of meditation, because
Right.
we need to learn body awareness. We need to learn our energy. And something else that I think has some people have got confused on is if they receive a message, but then that message has later led them astray, or has led them down a path that they thought, oh, this isn't what I was wanting, or this isn't what I thought was there. And I hear this a lot. And to that, I want to say, one, sometimes the message isn't always to lead us into our desires. Sometimes it's directly to our desires, I'll say. Sometimes it's meant to lead us into the shadows, so we can either see what we don't want or how we don't want to end up, or to bring us into a part of ourselves that is unfinished, so we can, or maybe another fitting word would say not whole yet, so we can then realize this isn't where I want to go. I actually want to go this way. Now, if we're noticing a pattern of that, where the voice is coming through and it's continually bringing us into the shadow, that could be a very specific guide that is meant to work with you in the shadow. It's like that temptation of, here's your pattern, let me show you. So that way, getting to learn these voices, if you hear it again, you can recognize, oh, this is the voice of that pattern. Do I want to continue down this road, or is the whole point of this guide for me to counter it and to move in the opposite direction? Like,
right.
in other words, we're never going to be led astray, but sometimes the guidance that's coming through isn't meant to be like, oh, here's the straight path to getting all this money, or here's a straight path to
there's side quests in life,
totally
not just in
quests.
video games.
Right. But I think we imagine our guides to all be these angels on high that lead us into the love. But sometimes I think we're meant to be led away from love, because that's already existing within our being, and it shines a light on that.
Well, yeah, but where's the learning if someone's just dragging you from point A to point B?
Right.
You don't even have to just sit there like an angry person who doesn't want to go to jail. Make them drag you in.
Yeah.
There's no point to that. What's the point of being alive at that point if you're not doing something?
Not taking any action.
Right.
Well, and I can also say too is sometimes we're so quick to take action that if we get a message coming through, it doesn't necessarily mean we need to take action right away. It's part of it, I think, is receiving the message and then feeling it and exploring that internally first, of, well, how does this feel? Because I'll get messages coming through of turn left, and then when I feel that in my body, I'm like, oh, that doesn't feel good. But the whole point of that is, it's like, it'd be like telling somebody, oh, burn your hand, touch this, and touch this hot thing. And then we go to go do it. And it's like, wait, something's telling me not to do that. Well, that's the lesson learned. It wasn't about, your spirit wants you to actually burn your hand. It's to feel the instinct that says, this isn't what I want.
Right.
So taking action right away disconnects us from that message, and we can kind of take maybe too many side quests.
Is that why I have all these burns on my hands?
Yeah, you can't do that, man.
Oh. Is there a lesson to be learned in that?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Well, I'll just keep burning them then.
Never any lessons. When you are reading tarot, I would consider you a very skilled and learned intuitive when it comes to a lot of things, but particularly when you're reading tarot. How did you get to that point where you can allow the message to flow so fluidly?
Trust.
And what? Speak more about that, please.
You just have to let go of questioning yourself, and just if what you say doesn't resonate with the other person, that's not on you. It's on the fact that they're not seeing what you're seeing. And That's not really their fault that much at the time either, because there's so many programs that they're running in their brain that say that that doesn't sound correct, but or maybe it sounds too good to be true, or various levels of things. But you look and well, I mean, there's a level of understanding of what the cards generally mean. But the intuitive part of it is to just see where that plays in the situation that you're there for. And don't question yourself when you're responding to or speaking about what's in front of you. The second you do that, you start trying to find a safe, nice way of telling people what they want to hear. And what's the point?
Don't butter it up.
Right.
Doubt is the killer of intuition, as we were saying in our intuition class. So I'm grateful you brought up that trust, because I agree. I think that's key in any kind of intuitive situation, but especially if we are talking with somebody and maybe something like what sounds completely ridiculous comes out of our mouths, and then there could be this tendency to pull back and like, oh, well, maybe not, or, but like, no, like, let's just say it, release this fear of being embarrassed about it, and they can do whatever they want with the message. And I value, with your sessions, this level of honesty and directness that you have, because I think sometimes I don't see it always as guidance when it's fluffed up. It's like taking the message and putting it in a pretty package and saying, instead of saying, the message is you need to take better care of your body. The message is you need to release this person from your life. The message is, love yourself, or do, whatever it is. I appreciate that within you, the directness.
I see a blonde-haired, blue-eyed beauty who's just waiting for you.
Is that how your readings go?
No. Tell me, when will I meet this person? At 7 p.m. on the 29th of June.
On the top of...
No,
no.
not the top of anything.
Not the top of anything. We don't know where. We'll find out in June.
You'll be wandering about somewhere you've never been before.
That's something too, is if you're receiving guidance from somebody, using our own intuition to see, is this direct guidance? Like, do I feel that power, that energy coming into me through these words, or is it feeling not right in our own bodies? And that could be something, and we hear stories, people here who've gotten different readings from people, or sessions, or guidance online, or whatever. And I'll hear about these things, and I'm like, how did that feel to like hear that? Well, not good. I was like, well, maybe that's your message.
Maybe it's a pretty clear sign that...
By good, I mean, because it doesn't always have to be comfortable, but if it doesn't feel right, then either it's not time to take whatever action is there for you, or maybe they're tapping into something that has nothing to do with you, and it's okay that it's not aligned. If you go to somebody and they share something with you, information, it's all information. If it doesn't feel right, then you don't got to do it.
Yeah, you tell them.
Unless it's me, because I'm always,
A shark?
Yep. I tell people, I'm like, I don't know if any of you have been in a session with me when I've done this. I'm like, okay, hold on. Sorry, I'm speaking from my mind. I need to take a pause and reach out a little bit higher. And sometimes it takes me a bit.
I got to put that
because I
dorsal
think.
fin up.
I got to put to adjust my
water
antenna
to scare the people on the beach.
Scare the what? Oh, scare the people on the beach.
Jeez.
I've seen Jaws.
Stay with the narrative.
Anyways.
Sharks don't have antennas.
They don't. That would be weird, but maybe someday, who knows?
Let me ask the cards.
Yeah, will sharks ever have antennae? Antennae?
Antennae. Not antennae. Antennae is already plural. You don't have to put an S at the end of it.
Oh. My bad. Anyways, thank you so much for tuning in once again. Please put in the comments any questions that you have or any topic requests. Hit that like button if you didn't already do it. Hit the subscribe button and then the little dingle bell thing. Dingling bell. What?
It's just a bell.
Yeah, but I don't know. I guess all bells dingle.
All right, you're done.
And if you're new to our community, welcome to Ordinary Pioneer. We invite you to visit our website, ordinarypioneer.com. Check out all of our offerings here. We have obviously digital offerings as well as in-person offerings in White House, Ohio. And we invite you, if you are on board with our mission here at Ordinary Pioneer to bring accessible healing to low and no income individuals, please send us in a donation of any amount. We greatly appreciate it.
And so do they.
So do they. It costs $35 a month to support a person to come and receive a monthly healing session here. So $35. If we think about how much we spend on ice cream, maybe.
Eggs.
Eggs. But any amount would be so greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for considering that. And we will see you next time on our serious spirituality
Not
podcast.
at all serious. Now we're changing the name.